Well, peace and blessings, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of King Talk Tuesdays. I'm your host, Andy King, the show with real views, real news, and real talk. We air every Tuesday at 8 p.m., 8 p.m. on Facebook Live as well as our YouTube channel. We also stream on a number of streaming services, whether it's Roku TV, Prime Video, Millennial TV 24, Clash TV, and so much more. Again, you know what I always say, right? People pay attention to people who participate. So tell a friend and tell a neighbor that King Talk Tuesdays is on. And they can leave us a comment or a chat in our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, or they can just send us an email at kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. Again, our email address is kingtalktuesday.com. And you know, we cover so many topics, whether it's education, sports, athletics and sports and athletics, economics, spirituality, and so much more. So we look forward to everyone continuing to tune in and join in to all the conversations we have had over the years. Now, remember, if you missed any of our episodes in the past, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, King Talk Tuesdays, for past episodes, or tune in on our local listings and check us out on Files Channel 2136 and Opto Channel 70 on Thursdays at 10:30 p.m. We're going to be right back with a spirited and an exciting show tonight, right after this message from our friends.
Welcome to Therodynamics, where we get you back to life. We offer physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. We accept all major insurances. Don't worry about an appointment. At Therodynamics, walk-ins are accepted. We have locations in the Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, and New Jersey. Our therapists, combined with our cutting-edge technology, will get you back to life. Visit our website at www.therodynamics.com for locations, services, and more.
Oh, yeah. Therodynamics is the place to be. If you have a bad neck, bad back, bad kneecaps, whatever it is, Therodynamics will put you back to life. Trust me, I used them and I thought they did a great job. And plus, I love the black and orange because I'm an Evander Child Tiger. So I like the black and orange. So if you have any challenges for all your therapy needs, check out Therodynamics. Know there's a lot happening and going on in the world. But you know what I really just want to know? Oh, yeah. Just want to know what's going on in the world, New York City, and in the Boogie Down Bronx. Well, everyone, just to remind and let you know that early voting has begun. October 29th, early voting begins, and election day is November 8th. Remember, politics is local, but you got to get out and let your voices be heard. Use the vote. Use the vote as one of those mechanisms. There's so many other mechanisms you can use, but let's start out with using the power of our vote. Secondly, we want to let you know that next Saturday, November 5th at Richard R. Green Middle School campus, we'll be hosting, King Talk is hosting, its third Boys to Men sit down at 11 a.m. The goal of that is bring a number of our young future kings together and sit down and have a real conversation with them about what it is to transition from boyhood to manhood. So many of our young brothers out here in search of whether it's the father figure or the man figure in their lives. Society has done so many things to strip down the essence of, we call it for what it is, the black man on this world, whether it's in your economics or in the sports world or just in the social aspect of things. So brothers are coming together from religious aspects, from spiritual aspects, from our fraternity brothers, some professionals, and we're just getting together to talk with about 100 of our young brothers and helping them get it right at Richard R. Green Middle School. If you are interested in bringing your son, it's for our young boys and our men sitting down, please email us at kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. To RSVP for Boys to Men 3, please email us at kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. And number 3 on what's going on, the Department of Health officially reversed 2 major COVID-19 vaccination requirements affecting children and adults across New York City. City officials voted to remove the COVID-19 vaccine requirement for high-risk extracurricular activities in the schools, such as well as vaccine mandates for private sector employers. The commissioner's order was announced back in September, but today's vote solidifies that decision. Children participating in activities such as cheerleading, dancing, and other sports teams, basketball is the conversation of the night today, will be allowed to do so without the COVID-19 vaccine. Number 4, this month has been a month of so many of months. And that means what? Domestic Violence Month is the month of October. This weekend, the King Talk, we went out and celebrated and would acknowledge some of our families who are challenged and were going through this ugly ordeal of domestic violence, and giving them strength and just the resources to stand strong, and feeding them and just give them a good day of feel good, because trials and tribulations are real for all of us. And we all got to do our part to help our brothers and our sisters. And lastly, October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And Co-op City in the Baymaster Mall at Bay Plaza, we had a cancer walk, and we walked around the mall previously as an ambassador for the American Cancer Society Real Man Wear Pink campaign. My commitment is there and always shall be there, having family members who have been taken by this ugly disease. And cancer does not discriminate. And we got to recognize that when one person in the house gets affected, everyone gets affected. And for all my brothers out there, breast cancer is real among men as well. So please, I know us, we wait till a limb is falling off, or we about can't walk no more before we decide to go to the doctor. Get yourself checked out. Make sure your health is up to par. Your children need you, your wives need you, your family needs you, and our neighborhood need our Black men to be standing strong, and all men to be standing strong together. So with that being said, tonight's conversation is one for the record books. I'm excited about our guests who are joining us this evening. And I'm almost like a little kid again. I'm going to invite them on to the show right now. And I want to welcome the first guest we're bringing on to King Talk Tuesdays, one of my 100 Black men brothers who's been doing it right, advocating out there for kids, talking to young brothers, out there strong, doing his work, and had a little game back in the day as well. So I want to bring on the King Talk Tuesday, my 100 brother, who handles communications, the community liaison for the Bronx Hall of Fame, Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame. You know how much talent is in the Bronx? Well, they've compiled the stories, and they're bringing people in to talk about the essence of the strength of all us brothers who played the game of basketball and put their marks in the record books. I want to welcome to King Talk Tuesdays, my brother Rudy Coombs in the house.
Hey, brother Andy, appreciate you, man. I appreciate you having the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame on there. I appreciate you having me on there. I'm honored and I'm humbled that you have us on here.
Well, thank you, and I'm grateful that you're here, and I'm eager to hear the conversation that you're going to deliver to our viewers this evening. Our second guest coming in is also part of the board of directors of the Bronx Hall of Fame. He's the youth coordinator, and I remember back in the day, he definitely filled up the court. And if anybody heard anything about Chick Jules, you know what we were talking about. So I want to welcome my brother, also, who gets it right underneath the backboards. Let's bring Dr. Julius Allen into the conversation. Let's get your microphone on, brother. Oh, you got to cut your mic on. He got his flowetry going on. There you go.
For inviting me. I appreciate it. Okay. Looking forward to the conversation.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. And our next guest is way overseas. Well, his talents in high school took him abroad to do what he needed to do. He's still standing strong, delivering when it comes to basketball, and who's the communications officer for the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Switzerland, Brother Tom Lockhart's in the house.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. It's nice to be with the brothers again. And it'll be great to get home for that induction ceremony. I haven't been home in 3 years. But so I'm looking forward to being together with all of them, and thanking you again for having me on.
Oh, a blessing and a blessing. And our final guest for tonight's show is someone who did it right, as all our gentlemen did it right. But he's made history. He's part of history. He has a story to tell. And I am so thankful and grateful for having the privilege of knowing him from the basketball gridiron to the community gridiron, because it's all the same about survival on the court. And when you call Tiny, that means you got to be better than the giant on the court. So he was the David out there slaying the Goliaths on the basketball court. One of the best to ever do it, a Hall of Famer, a Bronxite, one of the top 50 players in the National Basketball Player Association. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the first time to King Talk Tuesdays, the great Hall of Famer, Nate Tiny Archibald.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Oh,
I'm just honored to be here.
well, I'm glad you honored to be here. I'm glad to be. So for all our viewers, I have to get this out of the way. I got to get this out of the way so we can talk about this Hall of Fame. Now, and we know that we have one of the greatest players that ever played a game talking to us tonight. So I gotta. This is a personal for me, Mr. Archibald. I'm just remembering those days, the first time I met you. And you may not remember the first time I met you, but the first time I had the opportunity to meet you was at the Sheraton Hotel. I was playing in the Holcomb Rucker basketball tournament. And I received the MVP trophy, and another little brother by name Chisholm. He won biddy, I won midget. And you and the actor Luke Gossett Jr. took a photo with us. And that was the first time I was ever in the newspaper, the Daily News. That meant so much to me. And forgive me if I sound like a 12-year-old again, but it is what it is.
We started because we had our mentors, Floyd Lane, Hilton White, so many people, and I call them dinosaurs now because they no longer exist. We took, and the people on the panel, we took a little piece of that torch, but they really carried the torch for us. The things that they were doing, Cecil Watkins, you're talking about a lot of men who are not here anymore, and also women who are not here anymore, gave us a kind of template to do stuff in the community. We knew nothing about it. I was interacting, because people always say working. I was interacting with kids early, like you said, playing in the leagues all over, Co-op, the Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and stuff like that. But they led the way for us. And right now, I differ, because our kids are getting lost because the community centers and the schools are not open for those kids to have an outlet. Okay, everything is like closed down. So where do our kids go? That's my dilemma. Where do our kids go? We had an outlet, no matter where we were, in the Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island. We had an outlet. It either was schools or housing, but we had an outlet. We had energy, positive energy that we released in the community. And it wasn't like the leagues all the time. It might have been recreation. We had the pool table. We had ping pong. We had African dance. We had an outlet. Right now, kids don't have an outlet. That's why a lot of our kids are not on the streets anymore. They're incarcerated. So we got to find a way to open up those doors again and have our kids, have some of that positive energy inside in a safe haven.
I appreciate that, how you kicked us off with that. What are our options for our kids? And basketball could be a vehicle. Rudy Coombs, I know you've worked with the population of young brothers who've gone into programs to deter incarceration. And what does that look like? And we're going to get, how do you use your talents in basketball, so these kids don't or find better outlets to engage themselves?
Well, Tiny hit it right on the head. Right now, they have no outlets. We had the night centers. We had coaches that were devoted to help kids. They coach Skinny Reed, Mr. Nelson, Chick Jewelers. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And we had an outlet. These kids have no outlet. They don't have a center to go to. They don't have the police league is not enough. And that's one of the major things. We also had stipends when we was with the citywide tournaments, or the youth programs that they had. We got a job and they paid us. These kids don't even have it. They don't have no income coming in. So if you don't have any income and you want something, what do you think you're going to do? They just putting us in a real up against the wall with our young people. The guns are out there. Basketball was an outlet for me. I was in Butler House at Stebbins Avenue. They call it Reverend Polite Boulevard now. But all of those places that I grew up and the brothers on here can tell you, those places was the real ghetto. Those places, if you survived over there, you survived. Thank God I got a basketball scholarship to get out in New York City, because I may not be having this conversation right now that we're having.
Well, I'm glad that you did get that scholarship. Now, I know another person who got his scholarship and did what he had to do. Brother Julius Allen, talk to us, because you are the youth coordinator for the Bronx Hall of Fame. Your work with kids today, what is your approach to make sure that there is some type of venue that allows our children, our young boys and girls, to do right? Your mic's off.
I am also the director of the Teach Our Youth program that I've started in the Bronx and provide youth with an opportunity to try to keep them off the street and give them an opportunity to get in college. I'm also right now, I am the director of the PSAL basketball that's all the way throughout the city. So I'm involved with all the public schools throughout the New York City area and trying to help them clean up these and make the public schools a better situation for these guys to play in and give them opportunities to go to college and learn a trade, whatever they need to do. Because college ain't for everybody. There's some brothers out here who play going to end up learning a trade, but we're trying to help and lead the way and give them opportunities.
And that's beautiful. I'm glad you said, because not college is not for everybody, but being educated is for everyone. Brother Lockhart, talk to us about the things that you've been doing and introduce yourself again, because I know you way over yonder.
Yeah, that's correct.
How have you taken?
I grew up. I grew up in the Bronx. I grew up after leaving Harlem. I grew up, went to Washington Avenue, Park Avenue, 179th Street, that area. Then we moved to the West Side when I was about 13, 14. And over in the Marble Hill area. And then went to Manhattan College and didn't get picked up by the Milwaukee Bucks, and ended up playing in Europe. I've been over in Europe here for 46 years now. I don't know where the time went. Please tell me. But I've been here this long. But I always tell my friends that I've been over here 46 years, but I've never left, actually. I've never left the Bronx. I've always been there, always been in contact with friends. Several years ago, maybe about 15 years ago, helped to put together the Marble Hill 225 Reunion and Development Committee. And we've done things through the years to help the committee and help the neighborhood, and dealing with youth and senior citizens as well. So I've always been connected, and did some things with Nate, for example, here in Europe. He came over, was kind enough to come over and do some basketball projects with us over here, and then again in New York. So, and I know Nate since I'm 10 years old. He doesn't know me that long, but I know Nate from a long time ago. Seeing him riding down on the bus, number 29 bus, to go see him play when I was a kid, and every weekend, every Saturday, I used to go see him play. But and we hooked up later, and he's always been kind enough to deal with the programs that I was trying to do over here, and bringing my kids over there to try and unite this thing, internationally somehow through basketball. So I've been and I'm really proud to be on the board of directors of the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame. It's a dream kind of come true that I can actually do some work again in the Bronx from a distance like this, and I look forward to being there at the induction ceremony. Excuse me.
Well, we thank you, and you said you've been over for 46 years.
I've been overseas
46 years. I don't know how you do it.
Sorry?
I don't know how you do that, because you look only 46. I don't know how you work that one out.
Look at all those French you were doing. Make sure you get a drink at
the Listen, you mentioned something, and I'm gonna come back to you, Tiny, and I'm just gonna go into this question in regards to the NBA. Now, I heard him say you ride to watch your games. Now, I remember when I was playing in the Rock with Colonel Young, you'd be sitting in the stands after you ride your 10-speed bike over, and we're like, yo, that's Tiny. Yo, and then everybody gets like an extra gas of wind on the court, and they try to show their best at that moment in time. But what can NBA players do more than that? That's other controlled by the NBA to be more part of the neighborhoods that young brothers need to see them.
I didn't hear the question.
I said, what can NBA players today can do? Like, you used to go into the neighborhoods, and the question is asked, what can NBA players do within the neighborhood that they're from or not from, that's not always managed or controlled by the NBA?
A major impact if they ever, and let me say this, and I emphasize this, if they ever come back. Okay, major impact. I was with a young man, and I mean, people don't know us. Okay, I was with a young man that he was over in New Jersey interacting with some kids, and I tell people that's my fault because I didn't have a camera to film what he was doing with some young people, but they discount that. I'm just telling everybody they discount that. All the positive stuff that we do, and the people on the panel know I don't want publicity, but all the positive stuff we do, we don't look for publicity. The negative stuff comes out, it stays out for months and years. Okay. But we have some brothers that do come back, okay, and other people who do come back in the neighborhood and they don't want the publicity. What they're doing is they giving their heart, okay, and I got a new heart. They're giving their heart and their soul to the people in their community. Some come back, most of them don't, okay, because they feel that they're better than that. But the ones that do come back have a major impact with our kids because, see, we see them on TV, we see them in commercials, but we don't get to touch them. And when we get to touch them and see them, and not all the time, not every day, but we get to talk to them and see them, and they give us their feelings about the league, about growing up and stuff like that. And the guys know on the panel, that's what I do, okay? Because it wasn't always peaches and cream. I grew up in the projects, and I tell people I had a hard time getting an education. Right now I have 3 degrees. I'm trying to go back to school. Okay? I got one more degree. I'm trying to get an EDD. Okay, and anybody knows that it's a doctorate degree. All right, but I tell people I struggle, and it's not that you giving them a story. I'm giving them a true story. I want them to know that this guy's not 7 feet tall. This guy don't weigh 225 pounds. Okay, he's like you. He grew up like you with a dream, and a lot of our kids still have dreams. We can't deter them from that from those dreams. Okay, even though they don't play basketball, very small percentage of those guys that will play basketball. It's not on the plus side; it's on the minus side. But we can deter their dreams. Okay, if they say I want to play basketball, you got to go to school and get your education. You got to, because that gives you longevity. Okay, so you can fall back on something. But we have, and it's not just basketball, we have all sports, football, baseball, guys that come back. I was over at the Dominican Republic a couple of months ago. We got guys who are current and former baseball players that have programs over there. They got academies over there for kids because they know that they dominate the sport. Why can't we do that here? Why can't we?
That is very valid.
If you look at basketball, not football, we dominate the sport. Why can't we do that here? Those guys are making billions and billions of dollars. Why can't we do that here? Now, you got LeBron. You got a lot of people that are opening up schools and academies for the kids so they get a free and affordable education. Great. We didn't have that when we was growing up. We went to public school like you did. Okay, yeah. Evander, I went to Clinton. We got guys that went other places, but public school. And what it is we need more of them to step up, okay, and give back. And that's fine. Step up, give back. Show your faces to these kids, okay? Not on the commercials, not on those games that they play and stuff like that. Show your face to these kids so they could have something in that dream. You can make a dream a reality for some of our kids.
Oh yeah, making the dream a reality. Well, you said it best in bringing them back. No greater joy was it me when I had the opportunity to meet you or Walt Frazier or Earl Monroe as a 12-year-old and be able to shake your hand, and then weigh your numbers, whether you wore number 10 or you wore 1 or you wore 6 or you wore 32, you now you really felt like you were part of that player. Julia says you work with kids. How do you take your basketball talent to give them that little life skill out of you being a former basketball player?
Well, Andy, let me first take my hat off to Tiny, because Tiny is not only a guy who talks the talk, he walks the walk. He's in the trenches with us in the community since I met him. He's always been there. When he was in the NBA and working out in Mitchell Gym, I remember the older guys taking me in the gym and allowing me to get on the court with him. And they used to tell me, if you can block his shot, I'm gonna give you $15. And unfortunately, Tiny don't even know this. I knocked him down a couple of times trying to block that shot. And the guys in the gym was looking at me like, what is wrong with you? Don't you know what that is? But I never blocked that shot, so I didn't get that $15. But Tiny is in the trenches since I've known him. When I started playing in the Pro Rucker, Tiny had a team. He was sitting on the bench with us. When I played in Whitney, he was on the bench. He was out there in the community, and he's always set an example for guys like me to follow his lead and know what it means to have that opportunity to be around a guy like him, and that he's leading. He's coached at every level, probably but the NBA. But that's, you know what I'm saying, that's their problem and their loss and not his, because he's still in the community with us. I seen him the other day at an event and you were there. He's still here with us. And that's such a benefit for us. But what I do is just try to like follow his lead and others' leads that I grew up under in these community programs. I'm out there, I'm putting in teams, I'm giving clinics and camps all over when I can. I've been at several colleges and universities. I'm always back here recruiting kids and trying to help them get a scholarship. You know, it's a natural thing for me, what I do. And I try to lead like Tiny. I'm not looking for rewards. I do this out of my heart and because I love it. And that's what I learned from guys like Reverend Burkett and Mr. Booker and all these guys that I played for. Reverend Burkett I played for as a kid, got me into college, and ain't no telling where I would have been without him. But all the guys that I played for, they never asked me for a nickel. My family, the way they do things now, they turned this game into a business. And I try to make sure that I give kids an opportunity to play and help them just like those who did it before me.
Wow, that's powerful. And with that being said, we're going to go to our halftime, or we're at halftime right now of King Talk Tuesdays, the show with real views, real news, and real talk. We'll be right back on King Talk Tuesdays after a message from our friends.
Good Neighbors Community Outreach Agency provides programs that help community residents improve their lives and support their families. Are you in need of food, clothing, employment, or a home? We also provide immigration services and passport renewal.
Hi, I'm Pastor Glad.
And I'm Lady D.
We're here to serve you.
Need help? Ask us.
You can reach us by calling 718-652-3288 or visit us at gncdcny.org.
Well, you know what also happens at halftime, right? Y'all know I'm an ex-basketball player, so we always have to get our stretch. I got to make sure my flow jump shot is still in the sea. So that's when we do at halftime. You know, we stretch it out. But again, to all our guests, we want to say thank you, because this is the time of the show that we just remind everybody that you can send a chat to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, or send us an email at kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. Again, that's kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. We air live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. And as well, we air Thursday evenings on FiOS channel 2136 and Outdoor channel 70 at 10:30 p.m. We also stream on a number of streaming services: Prime, Roku TV, Millennial TV 24, and Clash Television. But we also always, at this moment in time, offer some prayer and words of encouragement to all our viewers and their families. The last 2 years has been very challenging for the people of this world, people of this earth. And I always ask people to find whatever centerpiece that you can find to get yourself grounded. What moves your body, what moves your soul, not necessarily if it comes from man, it's the best thing, but if it comes from a higher power, you cannot lose. For me, it's the Most High in Christ. And I know when he carries my steps, I can never fall. And if he carries me, I won't fall. So to all those who are trying to find their way in this moment in time, to all our students who've gone through something, who are back in the classrooms and learning and trying to learn and be better, who lost 2 years of development. Those are challenges that our young people have to face today. For all the adults who have made a commitment in this earth to say, we're going to do something better to help a child under the age of 18. And yes, at 18, you're still a child. And even when you're 25, you're still somebody's child. We want to go for a prayer to say to our community, our neighbors, our friends, our frenemies, our enemies, your mother, your father, whoever that might be, that special someone in your life, and then someone you don't know. Offer up a prayer. And that's what we say to you today. We wish you well. We pray to you, and may the Most High in Christ protect you and your family, give you strength, essence, love, and also the observation to understand, to live scripture, learn scripture, and walk in scripture. God bless. Let's get back to today's show. Again, we're talking about the Basketball Hall of Fame of the Boogie Down Bronx. It just originally started a year ago, as I understand, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to take the second half to understand what is the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame. So, Brother Lockhart, I want to go to you so you can give us an idea. What is the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame?
Well, the actual idea is the brainchild of Derek Doward. He played formerly at the Taft High School in the Bronx, and then I believe it was Bellarmine College or University in Kentucky. And he came back, but he's been involved in the community, etc., for a long time. And he just finally put the idea. I think a lot of people must have. I think I remember even Tiny mentioning something on a trip overseas about the Bronx should have some kind of a recognition a long time ago. So I think underneath the surface, there's always been a talk and a thought and an idea about it. But Derek put this into a concrete form, formed a board of directors, and made it real. And we just kind of went to work, and it's been an incredible journey. The history is very deep. We are trying to actually get 100 years of Bronx basketball, into archives and stories told about it. And I'm looking forward to one day, very soon, to walk through the doors, the actual physical doors of the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame. And it's happening. It's really becoming a reality. So many people are getting on board now, and from all parts of the Bronx. I know I'm sitting here with a lot of guys from the South Bronx, and but there's other parts of the Bronx that have been involved now too, and Woodlawn, and it's incredible to see the Jewish neighborhoods that played ball, and the Irish and the Italians, and and that all of this is the Bronx. Parkchester area was full of a lot of great Irish ball players. Woodlawn area, that type of thing. Some guy that went to Army from the Marble Hill area, led the nation in scoring, and nobody knew about it. So now we're getting all these aspects and neighborhoods in the Bronx coming together, and we're all learning something about the other parts of the Bronx that we never knew about. And this is what's going to help it grow and become an incredible success.
Okay. So the goal of this is to, I guess, put together, accumulate all the history of basketball in the borough of the Bronx. Are we including the borough of the Bronx or beyond? Talk a little bit about more about the purposes of putting together a Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, if you're addressing me, it's two pronged. I think there's a lot of different aspects to it, and one of them is to chronicle the actual history of basketball in the Bronx. That's been my main focus for a long time, since the beginning, and just to chronicle and honor the legacy of the basketball in the Bronx, the players, and to tell this story. But there's another side of it as well, because you have so many people who, will never get into the Basketball Hall of Fame, but who played the sport and who loved the sport. So they're part of this as well. They are the ones that make it work. They're the ones who played along with us or cheered us on, and there's so many more of them. So we're trying to get those guys involved as well, to support us basically. And this is what's happened. So many people are linked to this game, and especially linked to the Bronx. So we have incredible opportunities to reach out to people, and everybody's coming. It's like just people are coming. It's like a magnet, and we've grown so quickly. I mean, 5,000 members in a year, in less than a year. So it's 15, 20 members a day are coming on now, and it's growing exponentially. So we got a lot of support. Sponsorship is coming. So this, in my opinion, is going to happen very fast. And of course, the involvement of people like Nate Archibald and the work that Julius is doing now. He's at the PSAL, for example. So this thing is going to grow. Rudy is out there as well in the trenches and doing a lot. These things are not mentioned, but and Derek, of course, is a soldier. So we're growing really fast. It's rapid. We got so much support from the universities, from Fordham, from Manhattan College, and it's coming from all directions. So it's all positive. So it's going to be an amazing thing that happens very shortly.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. I gotta ask Julius, if you can cut your mic on. You work with how the Hall of Fame. Now, we're talking about people who play the game who are no longer playing the game. If we're still playing the game, it's probably just playing horse, or we're on Wii basketball. But how are we looking to include our young people to participate and be a part of this Hall of Fame, Bronx Hall of Fame?
Well, we need to get out and do some clinics and camps for those guys and make them aware of the history of the game. And the key to that is once we get really going, we're going to start sponsoring events. We'll have our own tournaments. And that's the key to us reaching out to the youth and making them aware of the history of Bronx basketball. And we're not trying to lose that. We're trying to educate them on Bronx history basketball. I remember one time doing a camp, and Tiny Archibald was at the camp, and the kid missed the shot. And Tiny went and got the kid's ball probably 2 courts over. When the kid got the ball, I told him, let me have that ball back. And I kicked that basketball further than it was and told him, go get your own basketball. That guy right there is a top 50 player. He's a Hall of Famer. He don't need to be chasing your ball. Tiny just laughed at me. But my thing was that kid didn't understand who was going to get his basketball because he should have been running saying, no, sir, I got my ball. But that's our legend. You know what I'm saying? Him being himself and being humble and not thinking like the average guy probably would if he going, man, I'm not chasing no kid's ball. That's Tiny Archibald for you.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But we got to educate these kids on what's going on and who they're around because sometimes they don't even know. You know what I'm saying? They can be in your presence and not know who they're dealing with.
So that goes to me and ask you, Rudy, how do we help this generation understand the pioneers? And again, I know a Tiny because I was 12, but a 12-year-old may only know Stephen Curry, and then when Tiny walks in, they're like, okay, sir. Or they just keep on going because they think they got it going on because they're 16 and they're 6'8", and they think they got it on the world as theirs right now. So how do we take that approach to that generation?
Well, I think one of the things, and we did this with the Eagle Academy. As you know, I'm one of the founders of the Eagle Academy. But what we did with Eagle Academy, I hope we do here with the Basketball Hall of Fame, is that we brought in professionals. And since they want to play basketball, let's bring in some of the NBA basketball players to come to watch them play. Okay, talk to them. Like we was talking about, touch them, talk with them, and have hands-on with these ball players. Okay. The other thing I want to see from this organization is that we start our foundation. That's going to be big. We start a foundation where we can start giving scholarships to these kids. You know how hard it is to get a scholarship. And when I was coming up, the college wasn't that expensive. College now is $30,000 or $40,000 for 1 year, and I'm just talking about a HBCU college. I'm not even talking about an Ivy League college. So we want to do something for these kids where we can help them get the scholarships that they need to go to the colleges that they want to go to. Okay, and if they don't make basketball, if they don't make the NBA, and a lot of them are not going to do that. But if they understand that, hey, I can be somebody, and that doesn't have to be a basketball player. I can be somebody because the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame showed me how I can be somebody, okay? And that's so important because when I was coming up, there wasn't that many ball players that I got to see. I was fortunate to see Tiny, fortunate to see Clyde and Earl Monroe, and those ball players gave me the initiative to want to play basketball and want to go to school, because back then you couldn't play ball if you didn't go to school. You know, you had to go to class and you had to keep up a certain GPA to stay on the basketball team. So we got to instill in these kids. And here I'm a kid from the South Bronx where they said I was most likely not to succeed and all these other things. And I got a master's degree. Never even thought I was going to get a Bachelor of Arts degree. But because Tiny talked about it and dream, you got to dream big. Young people, if you're out there listening, dream. Don't kill your dream and don't let nobody else kill your dream. People are going to tell you can't do this and you can't do that. You're going to hear that all the time. But don't you say that to yourself, because once you say that to yourself, it's over. And I think the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame, with the brothers on here and the brothers that's not here, that's participating and the board members and the advisory board, I think we're going to get this thing to a point where it's going to blow up. Our gala right now, we sold out. We only had 100 or 200 seats. We got 250 now and going to 300. So this thing is blowing up. The passion on the board is there, and we want to actually give back to the community and help our young people, get them off the streets out there with these guns. The drug dealers and the gang leaders are recruiting them left and right. And we got to get them back. And that's what I'm hoping that the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame will do.
Well, I thank you for hitting that nail on the head. We're going to take a quick break from a youth group that's doing it and doing it well for 17 years. We'll be right back on King Talk Tuesdays after this message from the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program.
The Bronx Youth Empowerment Program, YEP, is a youth organization that has served the Northeast Bronx for 17 years. During our tenure, we have provided recreational and educational forums that have nurtured the growth of many youth in the community. YEP has also serviced hundreds of youngsters around New York City. YEP's target audience is youth from the age of 11 to 18 with the goal of helping youth become productive adults. YEP provides young people with resources to explore leadership skills, community involvement, and self-development. YEP consists of weekly and bi-weekly informational sessions with guest speakers from professional, political, and entertainment arenas. Also, as a part of community involvement, YEP will host trips to a variety of venues for educational and recreational experiences. As we continue to partner with other local organizations and serve our community, we will strive to unite and develop the youth in our community. The mission of the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program is building mind, body, and community.
Oh yeah, the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program started by Neva Shinnifer King and yours truly 17 years ago in an effort to help young people after schools. I know we've been doing it for quite a long time. This has been a calling. My dad, Andy King, Pops King Sr., who started Kings 5 basketball, left a legacy for so many of us to do work. And we started UDC basketball after Kings 5 came to an end. And had players from all over the cities participate. Some of the greatest players, such as even Kyrie Irving when he was 14, Lamar Odom, Jamal Marshburn, just to name a few of the players who played as teens in the UDC Basketball League. And we even honored Mr. Tiny Archibald, who was up one day and came up, had a team, and was just supporting it, always on the ground, like you said, always in the trenches. And I'm so grateful and thank you. And we appreciate that the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program. We got roughly about 12 minutes left in the show. We got a couple of questions that came in, and I got to give it to you. This one is for Tiny Archibald, and the question goes this: they're asking, can you share some of your best memories being part of the basketball community?
I tell kids to all the time that they ask me about, the NBA, and I tell them the truth. I said, NBA was a job. I had the most fun coaching. I was an introvert. I coaching when I was a senior in high school, came out of college. Always made it back to New York in the summer because that was my outlet. And just being around the guys, you learn, because people think that coaches are smarter than some of their players. I learned a lot from my players. Okay, I learned that some of the players do some of the players that are on the team, so they kind of pick my guys. Okay, so that made my so-called interaction a lot easier for them. But I had so much fun coaching and interacting. And people always say, what about the playing part? The playing part was okay. But I think that giving them my kind of like living history about high school, because I didn't make the team because I didn't go to class. Okay, so when I went to Arizona Western, which is a junior college, I had so much fun. Then I'll go on to Texas Western a year after they won the championship. That was fun for me. It was not, because I had to learn all over again. And those guys, it's like the NBA. There's a lot of guys that play 14, 15 years in there don't have the bling bling. When I say the bling bling, they don't have a championship ring. Okay. And when I went there, those guys won the championship. Three of those guys are from the Bronx. Willie Worth, Neville Shedd Morris, Willie Cager Morris. And played with those guys through Hilton White. But they said, you didn't earn anything here. So that made me feel kind of sad and bad. But when I went back to New York, it was just a safe haven. It was coaching. It was interacting with the kids. I had so much fun. And that was not idle time. That was fun time for me. When I went back to UTEP as a junior, I felt like I could run a team. I didn't need to coach anymore. I tell people I didn't coach anymore because I acted with those guys who were younger than me. And like Julius said, some of the guys that followed me, okay, and you can ask, most of those guys went to College of Southern Idaho, okay, which is way out there. All right. The coach that coached me was the head coach there. So you're talking about Ron Behagen, Ricky So, Arnold Douglas, Victor Kelly. You could name them, guys. And I had a relationship with all of those guys. I said, y'all need to go there because Coach Hill is going to take care of y'all. So the vehicle was not just to coach those guys, but to mentor those guys and get them somewhere because they had talent. They didn't know they was going to, some of those guys didn't know they was going to play in the NBA, but they had talent. And you brought the talent out because you gave them a vehicle to go to school and get an education. But I had so much fun being with those guys. And I'm still with them, not on a full-time basis, but I'm still with those guys. And when they ask me about school and stuff, you need to go get your education. You know, don't give up that dream, okay? Even though you might not play in the NBA, there might be another outlet that you might be like Julius said, you might be coaching someone. They got the new thing called analytics. The NBA is hiring. Okay, you might be in auto mechanics, you might be in technology. Give up because they said I don't want to go to school. Why not? Because they don't have nothing to offer. Hey, you got to go and get your education because longevity. Okay, and your dream might be playing a sport, but that's not always offered out of it.
Right. Wow. Well, I thank you for sharing that with you. And one of the things I did catch out of your education helps you with longevity. So for our viewers, I hope they grabbed that and caught that. Your fun moments while the NBA was a job. I can only imagine anybody who played the game of basketball, the grueling work of being on the basketball court, not just the game, but all the preparation to get to the game. And there's a lot of young people out here who like playing the game of basketball, but don't have a clue how to play basketball. So I thank you because it's a thinking man's game. It's not all being the athleticism. It's a thinking man's game, and it takes you on the court and off the court. So as the time is winding down on us, I want to ask you, Rudy, talk to us a little bit before about the event that you're having coming up next week, I believe it is.
Yeah, so November 3rd. And I'm looking forward to that event because it's like actually a reunion also because a lot of the people that are coming to this gala are people I haven't seen in years, but they have bought tickets. They have confirmed they're coming. So I'm looking forward to that. Tom said he hasn't been in New York in 3 years and he's coming back. So, people are coming out to this event and it's going to be like a reunion. At the same time, it's putting us on the map for next year. This first year, even though we started kind of late doing everything, the passion what the board has for the success made this happen above and beyond what we even thought was possible. And so looking forward to the fellowship and the brotherhood and a sisterhood with the sisters, and just having a good event at the Villa Barone November 3rd in the Bronx. It should be really, if anybody here wants tickets, please, hit us back up on Facebook, on YouTube, and get your ticket. We still have tickets.
Okay. Well, everybody can figure out where they can get their tickets from. But as we get closer, we just got a comment in from a gentleman by Garth Marthon who played back in the PSAL with Coach Don Adams, saying, hey, we got to give Coach Adams a shout out. Oh, yeah. Back to back. So I got to ask you a question. How many high school championships or college championships do we have among all of you? But more importantly, I know we got an NBA championship going on. How many we got here?
We never count, but I think that brag on D with Clinton. Clinton got more championships than male in the city. Mary Bertram probably has more championships than anybody else in history. That was amazing.
That's right. Mary Bertram, the girls was doing their thing. That's right. And Clinton, y'all got all those flags still in those Raptors. I still got the tracks above the gyms. You know, you and now the track was like the sixth man in the basketball court. If you go,
that's true.
Sixth man. He's like, all right, just give it the court, and if you practice on the court, you know how to shoot underneath that track. But if you didn't,
yeah, what I think
my goodness.
DeWitt Clinton had 17 championships since city championships since 1905. So they have the most of any high school in the city.
Male.
Okay, the boys championship. Okay.
There's more than boys. They have more than boys.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Well, that's powerful. Listen, we want to give y'all some final last words. But before we do that, Mr. Tiny Archibald, I want to say thank you. I remember, like I said, my moments in time, and this is what these NBA players got to figure out how to get right. Just watching you walk down the street, riding your bicycle, being in the stands, coming to the regular courts, giving some guidance, giving some wisdom, saving some lives. These are where these players got to put that time in with the neighborhood. If we're talking about credible messengers, they are credible messengers for kids on the basketball court and off the basketball. The people who buy your jerseys, you gotta give them that love, and you can't always be controlled by the owner of how you walk right and left. And I applaud, I applaud the owners. I applaud the players of today who do that kind of work. I applaud the players who have a sense of decor of how they present themselves. I've seen some players, I'm like, they could use some teachings themselves of mannequin etiquette. But again, if you take a 19-year-old and give him, $35 million, you still get a 19-year-old with $35 million. It doesn't make him all of a sudden a mature 32-year-old. So, but everybody's always in search of some grooming and some love. So we put this together for you, Tiny. We just want to say thank you and thank you and thank you. Let's go to it.
Thank you. And
all right, nice.
There's one thing that
Let's give it up for Nate Tiny Archibald. You're very welcome. We're gonna have to wrap up right now. I'd like to give each and one of y'all at least 10 seconds for some final words. We'll start with you, Julius. What's the message of the day? Mic on. Get your mic on. Get your mic on. Get your mic on.
I just want to thank you, man, for giving us this opportunity. We look forward to doing this event. We're going to make this thing grow, and we're going to do some dynamite things in New York City. Look forward to it.
Great, great. Tom Lockhart, final
I'd
word.
like to thank you as well for having us on, giving us the chance to publicize what we're doing with the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame. I'd like to thank the other brothers who are on and the job that they're doing, and especially my last words and thanks for Tiny Archibald for being everything for everybody in the Bronx growing up. Just legendary. But after watching him on TV, you could go outside, in the off season and see him and be with him and hear his voice and listen to him and watch him. That was an unreal situation for me that was possible in our neighborhood. So thank you, Tiny, for everything you've done, all the inspiration that you've given to me personally and so many other people. I don't know if you can imagine how many people you have touched in the world, in the whole world. And we proved that with the international group. There's kids all over Europe, Germany, France, everywhere that he's influenced. So I'm thanking him for that.
God bless you. God, Rudy, final words, 10 seconds.
More people need to be like Tiny Archibald. He emulates what giving back is all about. I can't say no more about Tiny Archibald and what he does. People out there that want to do something, come on back. If you left Bronx, if you left New York City, come back and give back. Thank you so much. Andy, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you too, my brother. And of course, the king of the hour. I know you were Kansas City King at one time, but but you always be a Boogie Down Bronx man. So.
my sentiments is, let's keep moving forward and onward and upward towards the light.
That's it.
I love that. Moving upward towards the light. Well, thank all the gentlemen today for being part of today's conversation. But as we always do on King Talk Tuesdays, we end every show with a scripture. And tonight's scripture reads from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 1-7. Though I speak with the tongues of men of angels and have not charity, I am become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not charity, it profited me nothing. Charity suffered long and is kind. Charity envy not. Charity vaunted not itself. It is not puffed up. Do not believe itself unseemly, seeking not her own. It is not easily provoked, thinking no evil. Rejoice not in iniquity, but rejoice in truth. Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. If no one told you today, God loves you and so do I. Your friend, your brother, and your neighbor, Andy King. Peace.